Is that better? Can you hear me now? For some reason, the first few seconds of the show. Yes, I'm here. Okay, now we're good. See, what time is it? So the show's been on for 3 minutes. It was fine this morning, which that's awesome because we had Michael Reynolds backstage. And the music's fine and everything, but when I come on, maybe I should just put I don't know, an overlay up and sit there for like 20 seconds and then start talking. I don't know. It's a weird thing. But anyway, thanks for coming back. Like I said, the Reynolds family needs all the help they can get, and there's power in numbers. So we need to just share Michael's statement as much as we can. We're allowed, if you know what I mean. So I missed saying hi to a bunch of you guys this morning. So let me get caught up. I see Katie Bird in here. Katie Bird had a birthday earlier this week, but she wasn't in for the second show, so she didn't see what I had planned. She was busy getting birthday phone calls. Katie's a very popular and lucky girl. She gets a bunch of birthday phone calls. Spicy Lady, where you been? Thank you, Shani. Hello. Christina's back. Just me. JTB is in the house. I get very angry when JTB's not here. I had to hunt her down one time. Hello, Karen. Hello, Thomas. Crime Addict. Hello. Crafty One. Mel O. I know who's not a crime addict this week, and that's the law enforcement overseeing Debbie's case. I don't know what the hell's going on, guys. Either they said too much in their press conference and like they were too transparent, like a rush to judgment, or their source is full of crap that came out yesterday, or it's a rush to judgment now. I don't know. I do know that there are some people that, hang around the internet that like to tell us what to do, and they say, stop now. Why the hell would I stop now? I'm allowed to use the internet. If this was a rush to judgment a few weeks ago when we saw the press conference together, then this is a great example as to why we have to be patient, hang together, and discuss these cases instead of demand instant justice and instant answers. I know that is not a popular thing to say. I get that. Because everybody was more than impressed, myself especially, with the law enforcement in this case when they did their press conference. We said that's how it should be. They're telling us what's going on. The whole thing. The whole thing. They were volunteering information at one point. So, from what I'm gathering, the autopsy came in. It doesn't support their theory. But I don't know who the source is. I don't know. It's like you told us everything else. You basically told us where you were in the case. It was like we were in the case file with them. So we go back to the Harmony Montgomery case. When the chief came out and he said, we're not going to put murder charges on Adam yet. They asked about step meth, the whole 9 yards. No, we have to be patient. We're putting this all together. People were mad. They were mad. But they unsubbed this channel when I said, well, that's what they have to do. We have to wait. We have to wait for them to do their jobs. Wait to get back, the subpoenas and the warrants, all the police talk, all the police stuff. And this week, we had a show where they said, murder charges on Teardrop. Right now, we have a lot of anger about Quentin Simon. Arrest his mother. Arrest her now. Charge her with murder. Now, nobody was named as a person of interest per se. Nobody was charged. We knew what they were alluding to. And I'm not ready to say that they were wrong because there's no official statement from law enforcement yet saying it was an accident, she committed suicide, or we still believe we have a homicide investigation on our hands. This is what came out in the paper October 5th. That is the headline. All victims deserve justice. Is she a victim or not? Did she have an accident? It's like we're back to the Kylie Rodney case. Was this an accident? Did she do something personal and deliberate to herself? Or is it what they originally believed? Was it homicide? I don't know. More things have come out in the last few weeks. I haven't covered Debbie in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Feel like I've been hit by a snowplow. We had what came out with Harmony. Bildo and Leilani, they're pulling new shit every day. So it seems like every time I turn around, there's something with that case. I've been covering the case out of Okmulgee, Oklahoma. So Debbie is still very, very important. She just had to wait a little bit. Well, we're back on it. More things have come out though in the last couple of weeks. Let me see. Not going to say the name, But one of you in here, you sneaky little devils, sent me a shitload of Google reviews from Amanda, which really don't have anything to do with Debbie's case per se, but it kind of shows me a little different side of Amanda. Doctors and the Coast Guard, they get 1-star reviews from Amanda, but the damn pawn shop gets 5 stars from Amanda. Pawn shops screw people on both ends. You go to sell Grandpa's watch, you get about 2% of what it's worth. You go to buy Grandpa's watch, you're getting ripped off on each end, but she's great. She loves the pawn shop, but she leaves a bad Google review for the U.S. Coast Guard. It's one thing after another. Okay, so that came out. MMA said that her brother is jealous of him. Ain't nobody in America jealous of him. All right, nobody's jealous of him, but he did pipe that one out. That was great. We owe Amanda an apology, he said. I don't know. I put in the Facebook group. We have a Facebook group for the Debbie Collier case. Come one, come all. We'll continue to discuss this. I don't care what anyone says. We can still have a conversation. I posted it in the group where he said everyone owes her an apology. And I said, for what? I owe her what? We don't owe her an apology. I put a clip on the channel. It was a news clip when they were talking about this bizarre case. And it is. It still is. And we did a few lives. And next thing you know, we're hearing about the Family Dollar. She's out. You know, we already knew she was out in the woods. She basically bought the supplies. No, we don't owe Amanda an apology, particularly when the Venmo information came out. There was a news article that came out yesterday we're going to read that explains, they're trying to explain the Venmo, but it doesn't make any sense. It still doesn't make any sense. Also, it's come out that during this bizarre day, Debbie stopped at Chick-fil-A and ate. Okay. Who eats Chick-fil-A, goes to Family Dollar, sends a Venmo, and then burns themselves up? That makes no sense. I love me some Chick-fil-A, but it wouldn't be picked as my last meal. On what planet does that make sense? It doesn't. And by the way, if you live in the state of Georgia, I'm sorry that there has been some very negative things said about your state. I do not agree with these people because of the way that Leilani, Billy, Danny, whoever at that house conducts themselves. Then whatever's happened to Debbie, accident, suicide, or homicide, that doesn't reflect on your state. I do not believe that your state needs to be shut down or that your law enforcement there are a bunch of idiots. I don't. Let me see here. Thank you, Ryan Christie. There's no way the cause of death is, they said the cause of death is suffocation. Now, this is in this article I'm going to get to in a minute. But it doesn't say the cause of death. Was she trying to light herself on fire? See, that's the thing. They're going to have to come out and explain all of this. Because again, if you look at the screen, deliberate and personal, that is what we were told on October 5th. Hey, they didn't have to tell us. We were already leaning that way. Everything was just too weird. Too weird. And as far as the people that are talking about what idiots the law enforcement are, they're not idiots. They might have just told us too much too soon. Saying that you should shut down the whole state of Georgia. They just can't take the madness coming out of Georgia anymore. Dude, these people aren't mad about anything. They're just idiots. They're just dumbasses. So, also, Amanda's brother, Jeff, the one that MMA claims is jealous of him, he made a very public Facebook post yesterday slamming law enforcement. Now, Jeff has every right to, because from what I'm understanding from his Facebook post, they don't seem to know about this secret source. I think they kind of got hit real fast. Nomad said, we had really hoped her boyfriend had done something, but it wasn't proven he wasn't involved either. Suicide is so hard to accept. Suicide doesn't make any sense. Not saying that Debbie has a immaculate, wonderful life. I don't know anything about her life, really. Just what we know, what we've lived. What we've heard about, what's come across. She set her abdomen, her belly on fire. That was how she was going to kill herself. I know in one show, I said, well, I'm trying to figure out the burn on her stomach. And I said, well, was she lighting a fire? Was she lighting a campfire or something? Was she meeting someone in the woods and she accidentally burnt herself? I don't know. And I want to understand the suffocation. She's out in the great outdoors. She's outside. How do you suffocate from these fumes when you're out in the middle of nowhere? Well, I mean, off the road. That I don't see how that would happen. So if the means of death are suffocation, how did that happen? She didn't have a bag over her head. She was hanging on to a sapling. Looks like she was trying to crawl her way out of that ravine. How did she suffocate? Nothing was over her head. They said from fuel fumes. Now, mind you, none of this is official. Law enforcement has not spoken out about this, but a secret source spoke to Fox Digital, and then this article I'm putting up. It doesn't make any sense. Like I said, who goes to Chick-fil-A, then runs off, Family Dollar, then runs off in the woods and kills themselves that way? She, not to put Mandy down any further, but if her mama really wanted to do something to herself to where she wouldn't, wake up, her daughter would have known how to get a hold of such medication to where she wouldn't have had to have messed with fire. That doesn't make sense. And as far as an accident goes, accidents happen. They do. Still need to understand what she was doing out in the middle of the woods with a tarp, a new bag, a torch lighter by herself. She had an accident by herself. She still had to pick all that stuff up. She's out in the woods. No. This doesn't make any sense. I don't want to make things worse on poor Debbie. I don't. I don't want her to be a murder victim. It sounds a little nicer when someone's had an accident. Certainly don't want suicide. Her family's going through enough. How does an accident like this happen? Who out in the woods was with her? They said she has no mental illness, anything like that going on. So we're led to believe by the source. Remember, this is not anything official from law enforcement. So from the source, the source, we are led to believe that she went to Family Dollar and she bought the tarp, the bag, the, I don't know, like tiki torch fuel or whatever, a lighter. Then she went off into the woods and just set herself on fire and then jumped into the ravine? And had her last meal at Chick-fil-A? No, no. That doesn't make any sense. But like I said, the source is not official. We don't even know who the source is. The source could be MMA calling them saying, hey, this is what's going on. We don't know. Law enforcement hasn't spoke out. Okay, this is in now Habersham. A 6-week-old murder investigation in Habersham County may not have been murder after all. Sources, so it's more than one source now, close to the investigation into the death of Debbie Collier now say she may have died as the result of an accident or suicide. All right, here's my thing with that. Thank you, Ryan Christie. I swear, Ellie, there's something. There's something. If you guys remember, one of the shows that I did for Debbie, I talked about how they had switched this from homicide to death investigation. This is from weeks ago. We talked about this. Police initially said they were investigating her death as a homicide. They now say it's a death investigation. I said, what the hell is a death investigation? There's accident investigation, murder, criminal investigation. What's a death investigation? So at the press conference on October 5th, when asked about death investigation, the detective said, oh no, it's always been a homicide investigation. Okay, so what did they see between when they found Debbie to the press conference on October 5th that made them rule out accident and suicide? It must have been pretty ironclad at the time because they blared out to God and everyone, it's murder. Those were the words. It's murder. It's murder. This doesn't mean that nothing's going to happen with Debbie's case. There is nothing official here. I know some people are saying, close up shop, shut up, case is over. This is, the source doesn't tell me to shut up. The source does not. All right, so if you look on the screen, you remember this when they said they were investigating her death as a homicide. They now say it's a death investigation. Okay. Oh, boy. Sources close to the investigation into the death of Debbie Collier now say she may have died as the result of an accident or suicide. Again, how was that not ruled out very early on? I don't know. Debbie's been gone almost 2 months. The biggest revelation in recent days was the discovery that a cryptic message and Venmo payment sent to Collier's daughter, Amanda, apparently came from Debbie Collier's phone. Okay, that I'm pretty ticked off about. At the press conference, the detective said, he kind of explained technology in 2022 to us as if we didn't know. You can send a Venmo payment from several different devices, meaning she didn't send it from her phone. He said we have to figure out where this payment came from. It just means at that time they didn't have all their data back. That's what that means. Debbie sent it. I think we did an entire show, and I can't tell you how many polls I said, "Who do you think sent it? Because it didn't come from Debbie's phone." I said, "I don't think Debbie had her laptop with her. I don't think Debbie had her home office set up inside the rental car." All right, so that was in the press conference. They said they have to find out what device it came from. So it really added, no pun intended, fuel to the fire when we hear Amanda calling to Habersham, talking about private investigators. And she goes, "I'm not trying to be rude," and all that, and mentions her mom's passwords and how to get into the iCloud. How to get into the iCloud. Thank you, Angel P. You guys are the best. You are the best community for sure. So now it comes out that it was sent from Debbie's phone. Okay. I do not understand what the confusion with the message could have been. How did Amanda not know what the message meant? She had been communicating with her mom throughout the day via text messages, and she spoke to her mom earlier in the day. Also, it was said they don't know, this was at the press conference, they don't know what device the Venmo was sent from. They also don't know where the money went. Why was that a concern on October 5th as to who spent that money? We know who spent that money. What would it matter? Debbie sends Amanda money, which, as we know, is not out of the ordinary. Amanda's a grown woman who does not stand on her own 2 feet because her mom has been supporting her one way or another. It says at 3:17 p.m. on September 10th, Collier sent her daughter Amanda $2,385 through the Venmo payment app. Along with the money, she sent a message that read, "They're not going to let me go. Love you. There is a key to the house in the blue flower pot at the door." We still don't know what that means. We know she wasn't kidnapped. We thought that sounded stupid anyway. They're not going to let me go. How has Amanda told them what that means? Amanda was the one in correspondence with her. Why has Amanda or MMA not said, well, this is what the $2,385 was for? Is this supposed to be Amanda's inheritance? She's planning on committing suicide and she wants to make sure Amanda has $2,385. And for those of you that say that the money was for MMA's court fines, I don't think she'd go that way either. I don't think her last dying wish would be to make sure MMA's court fines were paid. By the way, as of today, the court fines still aren't paid. So I don't know what the conversation was to send $2,385. Sources now tell Habersham the message was sent during the time that Collier is known to have been sitting in her rented van in the parking lot of a Family Dollar store in Clayton. She also reportedly sent a text to her son saying, "I love you," but that text, later found in subpoenaed phone records, didn't go through. All right, so I told all my children I love them today. And sometimes I do have a text written out and I just don't hit send. I don't mean to do it. I just don't do it. I forget. She loves her son very much. So you're telling me that her parting, this is her last afternoon. She makes sure Amanda has money and she makes sure she transfers money to Amanda, but she doesn't remember to hit the send button to her son. What? I don't think so. She loves her children very much. Shortly after the messages were sent on Saturday, September 10th, Collier's phone went silent. She drove from the Family Dollar store at 3:19 p.m. and was found dead in the woods about 12 miles south of Clayton 22 hours later. Now, this is where it gets really nutty. Gas can experiment. That chilling message and Venmo payment captured investigators and the media's attention because it indicated a possible kidnapping. We didn't think anybody was kidnapped around here. Did anyone think that Debbie was kidnapped? If you did, it's okay. However, within weeks of launching their investigation, Habersham County Sheriff's investigators dismissed the possibility that Collier was abducted. They zeroed in on people close to the deceased real estate office manager, and as they did, the scrutiny surrounding her husband Steve, Amanda, and MMA intensified. Well, once they said in the press conference they knew where Steve was all day, you didn't really hear that much about Steve. Really, you didn't hear that much about MMA. The odd behavior was all coming from Amanda. Investigators questioned them and executed search warrants at their homes in Athens. And although investigators never publicly identified suspects or persons of interest in the case, Habersham County Chief Deputy Murray Kogod insisted that Debbie Collier's case was personal and targeted. Oh, he damn sure did. Kogod may now be looking for a way to backtrack on that statement. Doubt it. If they really believe this was an accident, or they really believe she committed suicide by burning her stomach, suffocating, and jumping into a ravine, I have a feeling they're not going to have a press conference about that. No, I do not think they will. While the state medical examiner has not released a final autopsy report, sources tell now Habersham it appears Debbie Collier may have died from suffocation as a result of a fire that she herself may have started. Her injuries were consistent with those of someone caught in a flash fire, possibly caused by gasoline vapors igniting. So I guess what they're saying is she lit a fire, then it was a flash fire, so it burned her. I guess she takes off running to try to put the fire out. I don't get. She's out in the woods. How did she suffocate? There's nothing constricting her airway. Do we have a doctor in the house to explain this to me? I'm really getting tired of these medical reports that don't make any sense. Not that this is a medical report. We don't even know who the source is. An arson analysis confirmed the presence of gasoline on her clothes. Well, no shit. She was lit on fire. Nobody would doubt that. While investigators knew from the onset that an accelerant was used, the absence of a gas container at the scene caused them to suspect someone else was present and had removed the container. After conducting an experiment, investigators confirmed a plastic container could have melted in the fire. Makes sense. It was at that point, weeks into the case, that detectives returned to the scene where Collier's body was found and recovered what appeared to be the burnt remnants of a gas can. So what looked like a flower pot that had been shot up, I guess, is actually what had the fuel in it. What did Degar say? How come the woods didn't catch on fire? That's what I want to know. How do you suffocate when you're out you're standing around a bunch of trees and everything? You have nothing over your head. You have fresh air all around you. Nothing but pure oxygen. You got trees all around you producing oxygen, but she suffocated? Weird. Makes no sense. All right, awaiting official cause and manner of death. Thank you, source, whoever source is. Collier appears to have initially survived the fire, which charred her lap and abdomen, and apparently burned off the Georgia Bulldog jersey she was wearing. She was found grasping a small tree in her hand, as if she had grabbed onto it to keep from falling. The items she bought at the Family Dollar store were found near the partially nude, burned body. The QR code on a burned blue tarp is what led investigators to the Family Dollar store. The discovery ultimately led to the surveillance video with the last known images of Debbie Collier alive. Okay, what was she doing there? She buys these kind of bizarre items, really. A tarp, the lighter fluid, the lighter. Was she seriously going out there to light herself on fire? Kamari says she was lured. Kamari says, or she was meeting someone. Slim says the autopsy report of the monk setting himself afire would be very interesting comparison. You bet. Oh, hang on. Tony. Tony said, starting the fire next to the large uprooted tree root helped with suffocation, less airflow and wind against that large backdrop barrier. I can't picture that. I can't picture that. Diane, she grabbed onto the tree for dear life. So that rules out suicide, don't you think? So either we're led to believe, according to the source, that's not even really talking to an official news source. This is really just like a web page. News Now Habersham or whatever. From my understanding. So she bought these items to go out in the woods to have an accident. What was she doing out there by herself? You can't plan to have an accident. Or she bought these items to go out there and, like I said, do something personal and deliberate to herself. Whereas we know between Mandy and MMA, they had enough stuff floating around. She wouldn't have needed to make any stop at the dollar store. No sense. She appears to have initially survived the fire, which charred her lap and abdomen and apparently burned off the Georgia Bulldog jersey she was wearing. She was found grasping a small tree in her hand. Whether her death was accidental or intentional remains to be seen. Officials have not released the results of her autopsy. Okay, so they're going to have to do a further investigation as to how this happened. They can't rule out a homicide because they can't even rule these two things out. Now Habersham has reached out to Habersham County Sheriff Joey Terrell and COGOD for confirmation on the status of the case, and will update this article as new information is released. All right, I missed something here. Where's the part where they said they may never know? That might be at the beginning. I'm trying to wrap my mind around this, and it's impossible. So on her own accord, She drives to the Family Dollar in Clayton, Georgia. This is not any sort of errand she needed to do for herself or anyone else. She buys a tarp. Why would you need a tarp to set yourself on fire? People that set themselves on fire as a means of exiting to the next world, they have a point to prove. It's usually some sort of agenda. Someone is going to have to really, really investigate this. Georgia Bureau of Investigation or something, because this is crazy. And I totally understand Jeff being so upset because this was released on Fox Digital, now on the local county paper, yet they're not communicating it with the family directly, I don't think. Well, look who's back from his honeymoon, if it's not Jay Woody. Welcome back, my friend. How'd everything go? Well, we'll talk about that in Discord. Doesn't make any sense. None. This is insane. It doesn't make any sense that she lit herself on fire, that she bought a tarp to take with her. Not that I want anyone to do anything to themselves, ever, ever, ever. Women normally, when they want to check out early, they use things that make them just get really, really sleepy to the point they can't wake up. Hawkeye, thank you. The comment that she survived the initial fire is odd AF, almost implies a secondary fire. Yes. Christina, yeah. I'm thinking that she was meeting someone out there. I don't believe this story from the source. I'm not saying that I want Debbie murdered. We just want the truth. Got a secret, can you keep it? Said, I don't believe that story. It doesn't make any sense. Can anyone make sense of this? If you're suicidal, why are you worried about a rain jacket? Debbie's an intelligent woman. Debbie knows that when she lights herself on fire, the rain jacket's going to burn up. Debbie also knows that she can't protect herself from the rain with a tarp because she knows that the fire is going to burn the tarp up. All right, so let's forget about the suicide thing. I'm going to get in trouble for even saying that word on YouTube, by the way. It's an accident. Okay, well she already had her final meal, right, at Chick-fil-A? Then she goes out into the woods. Now, I believe it was the second or third show we did for Debbie. They said if you look at where she parks, she gave enough room. She didn't just pull in there, jump out, and go into the woods. Like, let's just say that she had to pee or something. I don't know. But there was enough room for someone to pull in behind her. I was really thinking about that this morning. That makes a lot more sense to me. Why would she go? If it's an accident, what was she doing out there alone in the first place? Now, Debbie also, as we know, as we have heard, and it's been confirmed, I could tell by what Jeff was saying on his Facebook yesterday, she had some affairs in the past. I guess her and Steve had a rocky time. Was she meeting someone else out there? And this dude, after the accident, he just left her there and didn't call 911? What did Diane say? Wiz said, "Now that makes sense, Diane." That's what I'm saying, Diane. She didn't just go buy this stuff, go out into the woods by herself. Fire's fire. It burns stuff up. It's going to burn up the raincoat. It's going to burn up the tarp. It's going to burn up all that stuff. Mm-mm-mm. All right, so New York Post came out this morning, and this is basically all about how mad Jeff is. Jeff took to Facebook. I imagine Jeff is mad. Imagine if this is your mother. Social media is doing what social media does. So, basically, I mean, there's people that said Jeff had something to do with it. Come on. So he's already frustrated, and then he gets the news via social media, like the rest of us, that a source said this was either an accident or suicide. It may not be a homicide. The source did not say it's not a homicide, just that it may not be. All right, so this is New York Post, and they're getting as bad as the Daily Fail and the Sun. Debbie Collier's son blasted the Georgia Sheriff's Department investigating his mother's murder, claiming Wednesday the sheriff in charge laughed at him and dismissed his concerns during a phone call. In a bizarre case, Collier was reported missing on September 10th by her daughter, who said, which it wasn't by her daughter, Steve made the call. I'm already having a problem with the New York Post. Steve made the call, not Mandy, who said she sent her a cryptic text transferring money to her. Mandy did not say that. She did not. Mandy did not say that. She said she got a text saying they won't let me go. That's what Steve relayed in his 911 call. Anyway, she was found dead the next day in a wooded ravine with charring on her abdomen about 60 miles north of her Athens, Georgia home. 6 weeks after her death that was ruled a homicide, police have yet to make an arrest and have revealed little about the investigation. What the hell are you talking about? They have revealed little. They did a press conference that basically told us everything they were working on. The detective said every time we think we're onto something, we get a curveball out of nowhere that sets us back. Remember that? How can there be a curveball if you're investigating a suicide? I would call this a curveball. When it came back that she suffocated from a flashback, I would call that a huge curveball. You still have to explain how out in the woods by herself. Having an accident's one thing. What was she doing out there? They revealed a ton about their investigation in that press conference. Jeffrey Bearden wrote on Facebook, "I made the poor decision today to reach out to Habersham County law enforcement. I was met with a sheriff who did not empathize with my situation, my concerns for my personal and family safety after being doxxed online." Jeff, how was Jeff doxxed? I'm not picking on Jeff. I'm not picking on Jeff. How was he doxxed? He is online. The posts that he has made have been public on his personal Facebook. Kamari, does Ellie now regret being so open? Oh, I guarantee they do. I guarantee they do. And if this was a rush to judgment, we'll be talking about it for a very long time. So when people start screaming, like me, why don't you go ahead and arrest them? We're going to remember why. I made the poor decision today to reach out to Habersham County law enforcement. I was met with a sheriff who did not empathize with my situation, my concerns for my personal and family safety after being doxxed online. I still want to understand that. I'm not picking on Jeff, but I need to understand that. Or potential leaks coming out of this office. That is what he needs to be mad about. Who is the source that said we may never know? This may not be a homicide. This could be an accident or a suicide. Well, what else could it be? It's got to be one of those three things. We know it wasn't natural causes, right? Debbie didn't die in her sleep at home from an aneurysm. I'm not a mathematician, but none of this is adding up. He instead used his time to snicker at my attempts to discuss my concerns and to tell me directly that he wasn't trying to hang up on me when pressing him on his office's actions. See, he has every right to be really mad. They need to find out who the source is. Someone needs to be on administrative leave with a quickness. And then they're going to have a news conference where they explain what the source is saying. I don't understand where it's coming from that he snickered at him, that he laughed at him. That doesn't make any sense to me. Not calling Jeff a liar because I have a feeling Jeff has a lot going on. Bearden, it says whose daughter? Bearden, whose sister Amanda has been questioned by the police over her mom's death, said the elected sheriff's attitude and lack of understanding does not give me faith or confidence in their ability. I imagine right now it does not, considering that the source put out there, this may not be a homicide, this may very well be an accident or suicide. Now we go back to October 5th. When asked, I believe it was by a reporter with Fox, when they asked the detective, what made you change this from homicide to a death investigation? And he said, oh no, it's always been a homicide investigation. We're investigating a murder. Hey Josh, what's going on?
I'm good.
What are you thinking about this?
She's crazy.
Well, what do you think happened to Debbie?
I think she's trying to cheat on him, and then he go sleep. She can go sleep with someone else.
So do you think, and it's just your opinion, when she was out in the woods with the tarp and the lighter and the Herschel Walker jersey and all that, you
Can
think?
I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can I stay in this stream wheel?
Can you what?
Can I stay with you? Because I want to be a friend.
Well, yeah, of course.
Thank you.
So do you think that this person that she met did something to her, or there was an accident?
Maybe she went to the shop. Check on YouTube. Say, type shoplifting. I think she went to the shop, didn't she? I think the blonde hair one.
She went to Family Dollar.
Yeah, she did that on purpose. When she goes in and she looks at the chef, he's looking at the guy staring at her, and then he said this, how you doing, ma'am? What are you doing here? Sorry, keep going. And then I was like, she will say nothing at all. She just stares at the till.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
How old are you, Josh?
Look at my name.
Well, that's not exactly identification now, is it? That's a YouTube handle. How old are you?
18.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you came up and visited with us, okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you. I appreciate your opinion, okay?
Okay.
Sweet, sweet kid. Back to Debbie and something not so sweet that happened to her. Okay, so again, in the article, they go into how Amanda, it says Amanda's the daughter, Amanda is his sister, was questioned. And there's really no reason why Amanda shouldn't be questioned. That shouldn't be offensive to anybody. Amanda was calling the police asking if she needed to get a private investigator. That made her look like she was fishing for information, if you know what I mean. That's what we discussed anyway. Bearden said before he called the cops to check in on the case, he had heard almost nothing from the Habersham County Sheriff's Office. He said, I have been patiently waiting on my hands for weeks now for any type of information to understand what happened to my mother. Meanwhile, report comes out on Wednesday. Investigator from the department expect Collier's case to be solved soon. Now, I don't know that much about this paper, the Northeast Georgian. Are they pretty professional, I guess, or do they run off rumors? I don't know, because I've been hearing for a couple of weeks now we're going to have an update any day. Kind of been waiting on that. We have made very significant progress and are close to a breakthrough, Colonel Murray Kogod told the paper. Kogod has not responded to repeated requests for comment from the New York Post, but the sheriff's office has previously said they were awaiting toxicology reports and autopsy information from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation who are assisting in the case. Well, how could they come to the determination that she suffocated from a flash fire if they don't have the autopsy? This is confusing me too much, and I've read this so many times my eyes are crossed. Collier's brutal murder rocked Athens. Mind you, this is just according to the New York Post. We don't know what happened. Amanda Bearden and her boyfriend Andrew, MMA, only arrived back in town from Maryland 2 days before Collier disappeared. All right, so that's a red flag. Even though they're saying it may not be a homicide, they could be looking at an accident or suicide again, which you think that would have been ruled out before they did the press conference on October 5th saying this is a murder investigation. You can't unring that bell. We discussed, I think actually in that show about the press conference, or maybe a few days later, that isn't it the craziest thing that Amanda gets into town on September 8th. The 9th, she has this big argument with her mother. The 10th, Debbie buys a bunch of supplies at the Family Dollar, Venmos Amanda. Debbie's found dead on the 11th. Talk about coincidence. Gingrich told the Post last month that police had interviewed the couple and confiscated their phones, adding he felt her family were being treated as suspects. Well, you were, idiot. Okay. When he spoke with the New York Post, it was a lot of woe is me, woe is me. His jerk off dad, and Amanda are going to find a way to sue Habersham County Sheriff's Department if it truly is ruled an accident or suicide. And that is going to make me sick. Rebecca, exactly. Hang on. Rebecca, exactly. If she was leaning over to light a fire and that's how this flash fire happened, wouldn't her face have been burnt? How did she suffocate? How? Nothing was obstructing her airways. I don't know. I do not know. I know it doesn't make any sense. None. None. I have got the link pinned. Josh, as you know, found it. Somebody needs to be monitoring what kids are doing on the internet. C Star says plastic bag. She didn't have a plastic bag over her head or anything. What she bought at the Family Dollar was a tote bag. And when they tried to give her one of their regular plastic bags, she pointed at the red tote, and that's what they put the stuff in. How did she suffocate? I guess they said when a flash fire, the fumes can come back, but she made it over to the ravine. She was holding on. She's breathing, obviously. How can you suffocate if you're breathing? I'm not buying this. How can you have carbon monoxide poisoning out in the open? You're outside. You're not indoors. I don't know. Now we're going to roll it back and see what brought us to this point. Hang on. C-Star said if she was emmed, someone could have removed it. Oh. Yeah, because I think somebody had to have been out there with her. She doesn't seem like the type of chick that would go buy a bunch of crap at the Family Dollar, then go yet again out of her way, pull off the side of the highway, go back in the woods, and remember where she parked? It gave someone enough room to come behind her. I hope that when they're doing their investigation, they see on her phone if she had been driving around for a while, not that day, but before, to try to find the perfect spot, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, as you can imagine, the daughter is still shaken by the loss of her mom. She tells me she knew something was wrong the moment she received that disturbing message. More than a week after authorities pinged Debbie Collier's car near a wooded area just south of Tallulah Falls in Habersham County, investigators continue to search for the person who killed the 59-year-old mother of two.
My mom was my everything. Somebody took my whole world from me.
Debbie's daughter, Amanda, and her stepfather, Stephen, reported her mother missing on the evening of September 10th. Stephen said he'd seen his wife the night before and that her rental was still in the driveway when he left for work that morning.
I started going to all the different places that I thought she would go, like Walmart, Ulta. I mean, I drove around for at least 2 hours.
At 3:17 that afternoon, Amanda told police she received $2,385 from her mom via Venmo. The money transfer included a message that said, quote, "They're not going to let me go. Love you. There is a key to the house in the blue flower pot by the door."
Immediate hysterical. I've never been through this before.
When authorities located Debbie's car, they found a red tote bag, down an embankment, a partially burnt tarp, and Debbie's clothless body.
She was a beautiful, kind, giving.
They found a red token.
Okay, you see how she's pulled up? It doesn't give the full picture here, but someone, of course, they have the police tape there. She's pulled all the way up to where someone can get behind her. What's up, Avi? What do you think?
Hi, how are you?
Do your parents know you're on the internet, Avi?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I still find it so interesting that she can tell the news and all these interviews about how alarmed she was when she received this Venmo, but yet she didn't bother to mention that in the 911 call.
No, she voiced some frustration about not being able to access her mom's iCloud, and then said, but can you get it with her phone being off? And then she wonders why she gets questioned.
Yeah, like, how do you know her phone's off?
And I agree 100% with Karma is a bitch. I'm sorry, but I don't think that text message is being read right. I think there is punctuation missing. I have read it every way I can. And I also want to know why Amanda, which she's a drama queen, okay? Amanda is a drama queen. Amanda already knows the conversations, the texts, and so forth she'd been having with Debbie throughout the day. Because our last show, we said this Venmo could be completely innocent. It truly could, even though law enforcement said it didn't come from Debbie's phone at the time. They just didn't have the stuff back. But it could be completely innocent. Sorry, Avi, go ahead.
Oh, no, I didn't say anything. I was just listening. I was reading the comment.
But you see how she's pulled up so someone can pull in behind her.
That's what it looks like. I'm trying to understand this area.
Georgia?
It looked like it was on a highway, but it's not, right?
It's a very, very busy road. I believe it is off a highway. I got to refresh myself on that.
Back down an embankment, a partially burnt tarp, and Debbie's clothesless body.
She was a beautiful, kind, giving woman. And she didn't deserve any of this.
Amanda.
Okay, so that is something that you say when when there is a homicide. She's assuming that a bad guy got her mom. Okay, Steve was not, of course, Steve didn't talk to the news. Steve was actually very kind of like puzzled when he called 911. Amanda is quite a drama queen. She was the one saying that her mom's purse was still upstairs. Well, her mom's purse wasn't upstairs because law enforcement said it was at the scene. We have it in evidence. We also heard that the cell phone was, what's the word I'm looking for? But smashed. So suicide. Why would she smash her phone before taking her own life, besides the fact that she just had Chick-fil-A? You go to Chick-fil-A, smash your phone, and kill yourself? No. Why was the phone smashed?
Well, that's probably how Amanda knew the phone was off.
Ooh, Avi.
You know, think about it. I don't know. It's interesting. And then she says also in the interview that her mom didn't deserve this, didn't she? I don't think you're to that part yet, but it's like, well, what do you know, Amanda? You know?
Yes, she just said that. That's what I was talking about. So when you immediately jump to the worst conclusion, then you must know something. And no, I'm not accusing Amanda of anything. Just like like Summer Wells. Candace looks around for a little bit for Summer and she goes, she'd been abducted. Nobody jumps to the worst conclusion right off the bat. Now, maybe by this time she'd already been told they're looking at foul play. I don't know.
I don't know. It's interesting. I'm not accusing Amanda of anything either, except for being suspicious.
Sources say she's not. Sources say that this could be an accident or suicide. I don't know who sources are, And
I don't know who they are either. I'd love to know.
Rack Bill says, are they sure the phone was smashed or maybe it was burnt in the fire? I have been wondering that myself. I'm really, really hoping they know the difference between the phone was caught on fire as opposed to it was smashed. I don't care what it looked like, what the hell happened to it. If it's part of the quote unquote accident, I could see it. If it is suicide, what we got a smashed phone. Again, that doesn't make sense. Kate, why would LE suddenly change their minds on this, as they said personal and foul play at first? I don't know that they have. I'm being quite honest. I don't know that they have. All we have is from the Sun and from now Habersham website saying that sources said. Also, late last week, before the weekend, a local radio station was putting some stuff out there that maybe the family isn't involved, which we wouldn't have been surprised. It could have been someone she met online and she met out there. So we have a radio station, now Habersham website, and then the New York Post picked up off of Jeff's Facebook post. This is what we're at. This is where we're at with the media in 2022. It's ridiculous.
But the affairs that people are talking about, isn't that just, I mean, those are just rumors. That's not been confirmed, right?
Well, a family member confirmed it. Jeff was very upset about that. He didn't say that specifically, but we know what he's talking about.
Okay.
Says the last time she saw her mom was Friday night. They ate dinner, ran some errands, and went home separately. She had this message for her mother's killer.
I just want them to rot in hell. I do, sir. I mean, it's not going to take my pain away. I know it's not.
Okay, this is Amanda saying she wants the killers to rot in hell. But sources say it may not be a homicide. She could have gone out in the woods by herself and had an accident and suffocated amongst nothing but trees and Mother Nature and nothing over her head. Or it could be suicide. Suicide by fire suffocation is a new one. Flash fire suffocation. Has anybody heard of somebody dying from flash fire suffocation as a means of checking out early?
That's a hell of a way to take yourself out.
That would take some planning, some very strategic planning. You'd have to know a lot about fire to end your life that way. Was Debbie a fire expert? Was Debbie a fire expert? Did Debbie know that lighting her belly on fire could flash up in her face and suffocate her? Out in the middle, out amongst Mother Nature. You've got trees around you. You've got a babbling brook down at the bottom of that ravine. And who goes out in the middle of nowhere, well, off the highway, you know what I mean, to be if she just wanted some peace and quiet and be by herself because sitting by herself at Chick-fil-A didn't cut it, but she wants to go out in the woods, why'd she light a fire? Somebody was there with her. You can't suffocate. There's no carbon monoxide when you're out in the woods.
It sucks they didn't have any cameras out there.
In the woods? No, they don't have cameras out in the woods either.
Well, you know, where she parked. It's kind of sucks they didn't have. Isn't that like a place where people go? It's like not uncommon for people to go out there.
Tallulah Falls, I understand that people go out there and they hike. And I mean, you know, I watched a whole YouTube video on it one time. It's actually very beautiful. I've heard of people setting themselves on fire. Women are extremely rare. extremely rare. But this whole she died by suffocation from a flash fire, they'll have to explain that. And they'll also have to explain why that would be the way Debbie decided to check out, or how this accident happened and why she was there alone. Why she was there alone. Because if somebody was there with her, there would have been medical help called. No, this doesn't make sense. Sources are wrong. Sources are wrong. Sorry, sources are wrong. Sources are wrong. Black Cat said suffocated intentionally with the poncho, then set on fire. That would be a homicide. You would need somebody else out there. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. What did Wiss say? Is Wiss in here shooting out knowledge? Wiss said, next they'll be saying Quentin killed himself and threw himself in the... Oh, Wiss. I wish I'd have been warned before I said that out loud. Shep Brooks. I don't know if anyone said this, but maybe the source is to make MMA and Dandy think the heat is off them, so they slip up. Or the source could be someone that knows them and called these uncredited. These aren't the type of news outlets that are going to vet their source, if you know what I mean. This could be MMA's dad, who currently has a fundraiser to get money for him for an attorney. Sources could be someone who has only been around law enforcement when they're in trouble. Who are sources? No, you're fine, Wist. All right, so sources, after sources came out, who else came out? Right there on the screen, MMA 125. You all owe Amanda more than a sincere apology. Look at that, AV. Look at your screen.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Mm-mm-mm.
And if the family's been cleared, good. Good. Then find out what's going on.
Well, if the
Hello,
family's been
Paris.
cleared.
Hello, Paris. Welcome to the channel. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Paris.
Hi.
Hi, what are you thinking about all this?
Well, I actually have kind of a unique perspective on the flash fire. So back in the day, I worked for a sideshow and I was a fire eater, which involves like Coleman camp fuel, and it's really, really dangerous.
The
And
hell,
that's-
you ate fire?
Yes, I didn't breathe fire. That's totally different, but it's just, I've never heard of anyone dying from it, but it's definitely something that happens that's like something you really worry about. But I've never heard of just someone, this is so bizarre, you know?
Have you heard of someone? Okay, so in your line of work, has there been an accident when someone was eating the fire and they died?
I mean, not in my personal experience, but there are cases of it. I think it's called fire eater's lung, and it's where you kind of like basically, I think you basically breathe the flame back into your lungs, and it's terrible. Obviously, it's super dangerous, but I think it's called fire eater's lung. I've never heard of a civilian, like a regular person, having that happen. That's so strange.
You're damn right, it's strange. Now, I had to change the color. I didn't realize I still had it on yellow. That doesn't match with our backdrop, does it? So, is this over time that people eat the fire and then they develop fire eater's lung?
Well, I think that there's an injury. I haven't been in the sideshow industry for a few years, but basically it's one injury that like it's a breathe back. You inhale when you should have exhaled.
Okay.
Or
So
not breathed at all, you know?
and in this case, she's out in the woods by herself,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody lit a fire. If we assume she's alone, then
Mm-hmm.
Debbie lit the fire, and then she breathed in this flash fire.
Mm-hmm.
And would it be an instant death, or would it make sense for her to run to the ravine, fall down, and hang on to the sapling to try to get herself back up? Because she's breathing, she's breathing, she's breathing. You can't suffocate if you've got air. The lungs are going, they're pumping back and forth.
I do, but I believe in my experience with what it sounds like happened to her, I think that people do spend some time in the hospital. I don't think it's instantaneous, but that's still so I don't think that makes you just can't make sense of this, you know.
And every picture, and I understand it's social media, but
Mm-hmm.
you see that Debbie is a very well put together woman.
Yeah.
If she wanted to end her life, she wouldn't have wanted to be found that way, by the way it seems from my vantage point.
Yeah, I think it's super rare for women to put themselves in a embarrassing or vulnerable position before they check out early, you know?
Right.
So I don't know. I'm just anyway, so that was just I had a little perspective on the flash fire, but I'm gonna hop off of here. But I think, okay, so it's one instance of breathing in a fire that's really close to your face, and I think it's what it sounds like, you know, she inhaled it. It's not like she was repeatedly breathing it over and over, and that's why it's confusing. Like, I don't even know, like, what could she even have been doing by herself? You know, I think it had to have been, surely she didn't do this to herself. My goodness.
No.
Surely
I mean,
not.
my God. I mean, with Debbie's luck, she went out there to meet someone that, say, she met on the internet, and this was going to be, they were going to spend the afternoon together, and old boy lit the fire, and she's the one that got burned up, and he took off. I don't know. I don't think that would happen. I think somebody would call anonymously,
Yeah.
even though they were there having an affair.
Right. Do you think she was like possibly, I'm just trying to think of like the circumstances. Could she have been sitting down with someone and dropped something in her lap, or was she like made a little fire?
Well, it says lap and abdomen. And what I said was, it looks like it sounds like, this was a few shows ago, she was leaning over and lit the fire, and then it came back and hit her. I don't understand. And I guess the jersey's very flammable,
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
and maybe she was trying to put the fire out. I don't get the suffocation that she breathed in the fumes real quick, because that sounds like it would instantly kill you. You breathe it in really quick, and you're down. But she was coming out of the ravine. She was hanging on to something, trying to get out of it.
See, that's so strange. That's where I mean, I could almost understand if she like maybe was the worst camper ever, and maybe was just leaning over fire, caught her top, and then she's just like panicking, so she's breathing faster. But I don't think that's what happened, you know?
Well, and like you said, it's the situation and the circumstances. It's all odd.
It is.
And nobody's going to have Chick-fil-A for their last meal.
Oh my gosh, definitely not.
And I love Chick-fil-A. All right, so we have Chick-fil-A, we have the Venmo. Why would she, if this is her last communication before she leaves planet Earth, why would she make sure that Amanda has money, but doesn't make sure that the text to tell her son that she loves him goes through? It's like she was almost preoccupied in a hurry.
Right. So strange. Oh my goodness. I'm completely puzzled. I feel like this and the Kylie Rodney case are just equally so strange.
Well,
Like, how can this be?
I don't know. They came right out of the chute saying homicide. Then something gets
Mhm.
reported, Fox Digital again, death investigation. When asked, actually, let's look at that. Hang on.
Back, going back to what you were saying about the death and why you're confident that this is a homicide, was there any signs of trauma to the body that clearly indicated that this was a homicide?
The only thing we know as of right now is the burns of the body. We're still waiting for the absolute full report from the medical examiner's office. But nonetheless, because of the burns, we're still treating this like a murder. We're trying to investigate it as such, and we won't deter from that just because we're going to treat it like that investigation to get all thorough information.
And in the statement, it says, that this was, you're clear that this was a random act of violence. Generally speaking, if I say something is a random act of violence.
Where did let me stop you right there. Where did that statement come from?
This was not a random act of violence. Okay. My apologies. Okay. What, meaning that it was not could you be more specific? Because I don't want to put words in your mouth. What does that mean? Does that mean someone knew someone?
Yeah, what that means at this point is there is no information. I'm sorry. There is no information or evidence to this point that shows that this was something random, that there was something that was out, that was not from somebody that she either knew or somebody who she had some association with.
Okay, right there. That's what they were saying. This was October 5th. This was almost a month after they found her. Hello, Brian. How are you?
Hi, Ms. Brooke. How are you?
I'm good, my friend. I've been getting your emails. Thank you for all the great information. What do you make out of the case of our friend Debbie Collier?
Yes, I want to thank you for personally responding because that matters. I have followed this from really day one. I am retired mental health provider, 3.5 decades. I am done. Thank you. And from the very beginning, the word they, THEY, air quotes, hit me as someone who is going through hallucinations. And command ones, they won't let me go, rings of paranoia to me. It also hit me as very spooky with the U-turn. Okay, the U-turn really bothered me. And I still to this day can't really figure out why that's the case. But the U-turn, to turn around to go no, you're going to kill yourself, that's determined. Ooh, I'm not allowed to say it that way. Oh, shoot. Obviously, in my field, we use that word. But for most of the time, I have definitely felt, obviously, Amanda has some issues. And mental illness is hereditary. And I mean, let's look at this life. I do not know if this is accurate, you guys, okay? But haven't some of you read that she had not been at work for the week before?
Yes, she had taken that week off.
Okay, right. So now I'm wondering whether she was fired.
Nope, she still had her job.
But I'm saying, if we don't know that she was fired, okay, and she never told anybody, and she knows Amanda's coming back, these two obviously have a very negative history. 24 hours after they're back, they are heard screaming the top of the lungs at the house. So obviously these two are very emotional, unstable duet. She could have just been done with it. But the fascinating thing to me about all of us as true crime people, I'm amazed at how much I followed it really close. And you know this, Brooke, from our emails. How come none of you are considering life insurance?
Oh, that's come up many a times.
Okay.
And there is life insurance, but none that would benefit Amanda.
Oh, okay, but let's do it this way. Let's make it to where she does want to try to not get caught offing herself. for the life insurance for her family. She
Uh-huh.
obviously seems pretty dedicated and everything else. I think their marriage has been shot for a decade. I think they're basically in the roommate mode. It's too much of a hassle to get a divorce. There's no need. But he certainly sounded very disengaged, didn't know much about anything, just was gone out of the picture. He lives there. But I am wondering whether she did want to try to get her family money. And I don't know their religious background, but ending yourself does have religious consequences if you believe that kind of stuff. But I'm not having the trouble, and maybe some of it is career, but I'm not having the big problem that so many people seem to be having with offing yourself. And the whole notion that, why would you go to Chick-fil-A? Guys, what you got to realize, when a person gets there and they are ready, they are actually happy, they are elated, they have made their decision, they will be out of pain, it will end. So if you're hungry, why not grab a bite to eat?
Well, I think the question is the means. How common is it? Because from what I read, which is minimal, you're obviously going to know way more than what little bit I pulled up. For someone to set themselves on fire is so rare, and it's almost a political agenda or a religious agenda.
Right,
Now,
that's what I've
also,
learned too.
they said women, when they want to, like I said, leave early, check out early, it's never, it's so rare that it's any sort of a violent way of
Right,
doing it. It's almost always they go
right,
to sleep.
right. They do pills. Easy comfort. Yeah, men do guns typically. Um, but what I'm thinking of is, do we have some hallucinating going on? Because there was so much ritualistic stuff to this. Like the driving 70 miles, that's obviously odd. What she picked up is odd. So it's like, is there some voices in her head? And maybe that's why the U-turn kind of freaked me out, because that almost feels paranoid, like
Right.
trying to lose somebody.
Mhm.
Um, all the nonsense about how a clerk at a Family Dollar who has a 12-second interaction with someone is totally qualified and capable to accurately assess someone's mental state is ridiculous. First off, she walks in, she gets slammed by the door. Her driving, to me, was hideous. It reminded me of someone high. Okay, she stops, she parks, she pauses, she edges up, she pulls in, she pulls out, she moves. Okay, but walking in and getting slammed with the door, and it doesn't even flinch. It'll be very fast. So her talk screen to me is going to be the most interesting thing, because are we going to see antidepressants, antipsychotics, or are we going to find a high level of narcotic pain relief? But we don't know if the back thing is right, you guys, because we got it from Miss Amanda, the paint can queen. Okay, so Amanda is not a reliable source for any of us. So do we know for sure that the back history, pain narcotic history, is absolutely accurate?
No, we do not. That only
Okay.
from Amanda.
Okay.
Amanda to Fox News, that keeps coming up. Fox Digital. Amanda said that her mother's back pain is so bad that she has issues even taking a step. Now, we saw her walk in that Family Dollar. The door even hit her in the back. Swatted her.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. She didn't flinch.
Nope. And the paint can. I mean, come on, we're talking about a really, for Amanda, and obviously I don't judge people suffering with mental illness, okay? Obviously. But obviously we've got some stuff going on there. Okay,
Yep.
and I mean the paint can, that's almost got delusional. Where did you even come up with this kid? I mean, you changed the dates, you changed the license. So basically, Amanda, for a lot of us who have been following this, and the media is ending up getting tossed in as like a true fact thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but we all know who have followed this. She is totally unreliable, period. Nothing to discuss. Okay, she's probably fine in the back. Do you know what I mean? So the guy wasn't a felon, right? The paint can dude. So she's unreliable. But mainstream media and some YouTubers are not ignoring her.
No, I mean, if you look at the screen, here's an example. Investigators say her daughter's story has some holes, including her saying she was at the store with her mother, but security video and interviews revealed Debbie Collier was alone. She's such a little drama queen. She actually told them she was at the damn Family Dollar. They had to investigate her putting her with the victim.
See, but I'm wondering if that is not some psychosis on Amanda's part. That's
Okay.
delusional. Okay, that's delusional. She obviously has Amanda certainly doesn't seem to be capable of emotionally self-controlling herself. And I mean, the lies she comes up with are so out there that could have a psychotic implication. You know, I would love to know her drug screen background. Has anybody ever been involuntarily placed? I don't know. And everybody thinks that Debbie is like this little happy woman. We have 6 pictures. And you know what? Brooke, did you hear that one little video that just came out where we have Debbie on the 911? Did you hear that one? That was recent.
Debbie.
Yeah. Bed Crime Stories found a 911 call from Debbie.
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
Okay. And at first, she sounds just so sweet. So sweet. But man, there's a tough Debbie there. Because near the end of the call, it was something like, let me tell you, if you need me to come there, I will come there to help get you to arrest Andrew. I mean, she's soft, she's sweet, she's got her cute little diamond things around her neck and her purple colors and her little dress and her little smile. I have a feeling the woman's a fireball. Obviously, the neighbors say that.
I think she's like most women that, you're nice, you're polite, you're not going to start problems where there don't need to be any, but you push mama bear and you're going to get it.
Yep. But everybody keeps or I keep saying everybody. A lot of people are doing like, oh, she was so sweet. We don't know anything about her. We have not honestly gotten a lot of what I call fluff pieces from regular news, where you see them finding the co-workers and their friends, neighbors coming on.
Who are you saying could have been hallucinating? Are you were saying Amanda, because I see Rock and Robin said, how could Debbie be driving and hallucinating? No possible way. Because she went to the dollar, she went to Family Dollar, she knew what she was there to buy, she bought specific items, she got into the car. She sent the Venmo to Amanda, which obviously is missing punctuation because it sounds like she's been kidnapped.
Right.
Then she leaves. Who are you saying could be in psychosis? You're talking about Amanda.
No, I'm talking about command hallucinations, and that would be you must drive to the Family Dollar in this. When you get there, you must buy a blue tarp. Okay, the voices in their head are telling her the notion that psychosis, there's tons of flavors of psychosis. If she was having command hallucinations, which there are elements of this, because a lot of times that is very ritualistic. Like, when I would be in the seclusion room with the patient and they were actively psychotic and they were telling me that I'm Jesus and they want me to put down the damn gun.
Well, nothing's ever come out ever. And, all the tea gets spilt when there's something like this going on. Nobody has ever put out there that Debbie was in any way off her rocker or had been. Other things came out, but nothing like that. Nothing like what you're describing. Susan said, I personally have friends who know Steve and Debbie, and they say they're very nice people. That's everything we've been hearing, that they're just they're just really nice people.
There are millions and millions of very nice people that suffer with severe mental illness.
But no one's ever noticed her having this? No
one? How do we know what anyone knows? All we know.
Well, and I can't do a show with the whole, well, how do we know? How do we know? What we know is what we know. And no one has said she had suffered from these problems.
Okay, well, let me play devil's advocate with you. Let's look at Steve on the call the next day, when all of us here do know for a fact that apparently the night before, the house sounded like World War IV between those two, right? Now, when you say to me, Brooke, we haven't heard any of that, did we hear anything from anyone, Amanda or Steve, 10 hours later, that even alluded to the fact that apparently there was a lot of crazy stuff going on the night before?
No,
So
that's
then,
from the neighbors, and I
right.
can understand them not saying it, but someone did. You see what I'm saying? You're talking about her going into this paranoia hallucination, and I'm asking you, because you're the professional, I'm not. If nobody in almost 2 months has come out and said, well, she had some episodes. They're telling everything else, but nobody is saying that she had something like that going on.
Yeah, but really, who have we heard from? Nobody. We haven't heard from any worker. Okay, we haven't heard anything for real from the husband. Okay, we've heard from Amanda and the Andrew dude. Okay, you know how, like, after a mass shooting, you get all these people. They were the greatest person. They had friends. They
I know where you're going with that. Okay,
okay,
so
but who have we had that from? Nobody.
But we have heard from a lot of people, but nothing to that. So I'm not having an argument. Not having an argument about that. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. No one has ever said that she had issues like that. So back to September 10th. She's out in the woods by herself. She has a specific errand. She goes to Family Dollar. She buys a tarp. She buys lighter fluid. She buys a lighter. She buys a tote to carry the things out. She buys a poncho. That doesn't suggest offing herself. Why would she not? I mean, did she honestly think, she's not a dumb woman, that the poncho was going to make sure that the rain didn't put the fire out?
Well, see, because I'm coming at it from command. Like, you must do these things. Buy a bread honcho, buy a blue tarp, buy a butane match, go find a isolated place, go here, do that. And then I think that she just slipped and fell.
So you're thinking that it's an accident. She accidentally, like they said, flash fire, which sometimes people will light the fire. It's not catching quick enough, and they'll get the accelerant and they'll squirt it on there, and it comes back at them.
Well, then, okay, but then I have to go either one way or two. First, the car was kind of parked really where you could have another car parked there. So then sometimes in my head, I go fair, and then I go flash fire, and then I go, hey, I know this sounds awful, you guys, but come on, let's be real. If that happened to us and we already know she's dead, I'm not quite sure I wouldn't just flee. I mean, come on. But what happens if she was meeting someone? Okay, and I don't know what are they doing with what are you playing around with fire? And then I thought, well, maybe he bought the hamburgers. I don't know, but someone could flee if they were there. Now you guys would say no, I'd call the police and everything, but I mean, I could understand a fair person fleeing if all of a sudden they watch their lover blow up, fall down a mountain. Okay, but I'm okay with the offing self, though. I am. Somehow that fits in just with.
But by fire, that actually was suffocation from a flash fire.
No, but that might be an accident, that part. Because I'm going with the ritualistic command hallucinations. Buy a lighter, set paper towel on fire, put down blue tarp, buy red, command things telling you stupid stuff that because you're being followed and they want you to do this. I mean, doesn't the U-turn freak you out?
Doesn't the what?
The U-turn. When I heard that blew my mind. And that to me is paranoid. You did a U-turn to go end up to where you would be found dead 8 hours later. You U-turned to get there. That has to indicate something.
Yeah, sounds like it, but always interesting, my friend, when you come up. So I'm going to put you back because I got some people backstage, okay?
I thank you, ma'am, and you all. I can't wait to hear what the rest of you all have to say, because boy, this one's a mess, and they really do owe a suppressor today, people. Today, they owe a suppressor. But
They
thank you for
press
thank
conference.
you thank you for taking me on,
All
and
right.
I will listen and probably be typing ferociously away.
Have at it.
Bye, you guys.
All right. So what I was talking, I'm going to put the court TV thing on in a second. And I was talking about what I was sent by all of these crazy Google reviews. I got them in like 3 or 4 different emails. All right. So like I said, Amanda seems to be quite the drama queen, except for when it comes to the pawn shop. All right. So here we are. This is when she was at the denture place. One of the doctors were super rude to me. And conveniently enough, I'm the very last person left waiting. Not to mention, I wasn't given any medication. All right. So she gives this business a 1 star because the doctor was super rude to her. Well, you know, you get more bees with honey, Amanda. All right. Then we have Barrett's Towing. People in the office, especially 2 females that don't act like women, are hateful and unprofessional. They don't act like women. I don't know what she's talking about. Don't get her going on Pearl Vision because they got 1 star too. By the way, do not take this out on any of these businesses. This is just Amanda being Amanda. The website states that the office doesn't close until 7 p.m. I got there a little after 6 and was told, now mind you, it's Pearl Vision. So they're doing eye exams. They may not have had time to see her. They're not going to stay till 9 o'clock while she's picking out frames. I was told I needed to come back the next day. All I needed was a nose pad for my glasses. I called today asking questions and was told my issues aren't their problem by whoever. The optometrist is very good at what she does, but the staff is garbage and very unprofessional. All right, so she is extremely entitled, okay? So basically all of these professionals, and when you leave a Google review, I don't know if you guys know this, I'm sure you do because you're all super smart. If you're leaving 1 stars for a company, it lowers their score, as you know. It seems to me that every review she leaves, everywhere she goes, she's treated badly, according to Amanda. And she leaves 1 star. This one, the Coast Guard, the U.S. Coast Guard. I'm seriously disappointed in the Coast Guard. This was about a month ago. Some of these go back 5, 6, 7 years. So you can tell this isn't an old problem. This has gone on for a while. I am sincerely disappointed in the Coast Guard. I am from Georgia. My car broke down right in front of this location. I was told that the car needed to be moved, but wasn't given the opportunity to get it moved. The car wasn't even there a few hours. The tire popped off the axle, so it was almost impossible to get it moved in the first place. And where the car was parked wasn't in the way of anything. I'm sincerely confused about the military. I guess I thought your mission was to protect, serve, and care about the general public. Does she understand? Does she understand that you cannot leave your car? You have to at least have a tow truck on the way. This is the military. But all is not lost. There are some people that are okay in her book. Yes, exactly, Dee Dee. Exactly. Dee Dee goes, Amanda sounds very entitled. I've never heard of writing bad reviews for the freaking Coast Guard. I think we all know what the damn Coast Guard does. Gateway Jewelry and Pawn. I just want to say how much I appreciate Gateway. Pawn, for always being so helpful. And calling the last day the pawn ticket was owed and working with us. I just think if you are in a tight spot, which a lot have been this year, 2020 to 2021, Gateway Pawn is the place you want to go.
This is so entertaining.
Now, piss on you, Coast Guard, and the people that make sure my vision is good, and the dentists. Yeah, affordable dentures and implants. I mean, all of these people, Barrett Towing, but the pawn shop is A-OK by her.
How much does she frequent that pawn shop? Doesn't that make you wonder? And what is she pawning there?
I don't know, but out of 224 Google reviews I was taught, I didn't go through all 224 of them. I'm taking my friend's word for it because she's never steered me wrong before. She said they're all complaining. Complain. 1 star, 1 star. One person, she said, I wish I could give you 0 stars for the way you looked at me.
I give Amanda 1 star.
But Gateway Jewelry and Pawn gets 5 stars. If you've ever been in a tight spot, Gateway Pawn is the place you want to go. Talk about a commercial. A couple of you were backstage when Brian was talking about hallucinations. Remember, we agree to disagree around here. We don't need to get upset about anything. Some people agreed, some people didn't. So if you want to come on, come back on. Avi, did you see this on Court TV about Debbie?
Probably, but I'm not for sure. I'll have to watch it again. I've seen, we see so much.
I know. Hang on. What is going on here? I don't know what OneTrust is. Move it, OneTrust. Where'd it go? Try and get
was related to a kidnapping or that this was a suicide.
Okay, from the beginning, not a kidnapping, not suicide. Then 9 days later, September 30th, we got this update from the sheriff.
There is no information or evidence to this point that shows that this was something random, that there was something that was not from somebody that she either knew or somebody who she had some association with. That's what we're seeing at this time. So based on that information, we do not believe that this is a random act of violence. We do not believe that this is the act of a serial killer. We believe that this act was deliberate and personal.
So there, it seems we're investigating a murder that seemed to be deliberate and personal, right? Now, I want you to take a look on the screen, this report from Habersham Now, who's been covering this case in depth. And it says, a 6-week-old murder investigation in Habersham County may not have been murder after all. Sources close to the investigation into the death of Debbie Collier now say she may have died as a result of an accident or suicide. We may live in a world where we never know for sure, the source says. Wow, I was not expecting that tonight. Let's bring in our guest, try to make some sense of this. Joining me tonight in Clarksville, Georgia, reporter and publisher for now Habersham.com, where we got that information. Joy Purcell is with us. In Jacksonville, Alabama, professor of forensics at Jacksonville State University, former senior investigator for the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office, and the host of the Body Bags podcast, Joseph Scott Morgan with us. And in Los Angeles, California, retired FBI Special Agent Bobby Chacon. Great to see everyone. Joy, let me start with you. This, I was not expecting this. I don't know if anyone was. So this now, we don't even know if we're looking at a murder at this point. Is that what you're hearing?
That is what I'm hearing, Vinny. It's
Of course, we have not received the autopsy report. We still don't know the official cause and manner of death. There are still a lot of unanswered questions in this investigation. But at this point, having spoken to several sources very close to this investigation, it appears that this may be something other than what we have all suspected and been told by law enforcement from the beginning, which is that this is a murder investigation.
All right, Joseph Scott Morgan, you've been at way too many death scenes, right? But I want you to.
Okay, right there, she says with Habersham, she's with the news site, okay, that reported this. She says many sources, okay, I don't know how many sources there are, that this is not what we've been told, it's a murder investigation. So we go back to, if that is the case and they just jumped the gun, then it's what we discuss on this channel all the time. We have to be patient. We don't want them to rush their job. We want to know the truth. We can wait. But still, it's so damn odd. She said herself, they don't have the autopsy. So why are sources saying it was a flash fire she suffocated from? Someone help me.
Take a look at this. This is from the Habersham County Sheriff's Office. Let's remind everyone about the scene here of Debbie's death. Habersham County Sheriff's Office K-9 unit responded to the scene and initiated a search. The search resulted in locating a red tote bag, partially burnt blue tarp, and eventually the victim's partially nude and burnt body grasping a small tree down a ravine. The victim was deceased. Joseph Scott Morgan, remembering that, and now understanding that this investigation is taking an unexpected turn, how do we make sense of this? What's going on?
Well, the problem is that we still are absent an autopsy report and a tox report at this time. And Vinny, it's not like this was done in a vacuum. They were both done, both of these tests, well, the examination and the testing are both done by the GBI. It's literally one section is across the building complex from the other. So it's not like these two are not communicating with one another. I don't understand what the what the holdup is relative to this. The police are obviously exploring, because they're kind of the gatekeeper here relative to any further information that's going to come out. And I think that they're exhausting everything they have. What's very interesting to me, Ben, is that now they have an arson investigator in this case, and the clothing that was found at the scene, they did detect the presence of accelerant there. And the shirt, I think, which we've talked about at length, and that's something that can specifically be kind of sussed out in all of this. And one of the things we're going to be looking for when that autopsy report comes out, two things. First off, we're going to hear about her lungs. Is this something, did she inhalate anything? And generally with fire-related deaths, you'll have soot in the airway and down into the lungs. And secondly, they're going to run a test called a carboxyhemoglobin level. And essentially what they're looking for is carbon monoxide in her system. And that is kind of a derivative of a fire burning, and you're inhalating that along with the debris. So that's going to be real critical as well. And those tests are easily done. It should be turned around pretty quickly. I mean, we've already got the arson results back. So we're just kind of sitting back and waiting right now, Ben.
Bobby Chacon, you've got the video of her 15 minutes away. It takes her 45 minutes to get there, but 15 minutes away at the Family Dollar store. We've got this cryptic message that she sent. They won't let me go. She sends money to her daughter after she exits the store while she's in the parking lot there. I can't put these pieces together.
Yeah, they don't seem to fit, right? I mean, that's the problem here. They don't seem to fit. They take you in different directions, right? Is it an accident? Is it a suicide? I would almost set up two investigative teams, one to follow the narrative of a possible accident and the other the possible suicide. And obviously those two teams would look at this from different angles, and you see what physical evidence supports each one of those, and then you move down those roads. There's also reporting that initially there was not a gas can, but then they went back and they found remnants of a gas can under where that burned car was. So, it's highly unusual for a woman to commit suicide by burning themselves, by setting themselves on fire. When you see the statistics on suicide, that is one of the fewest ever that take place. Setting themselves on fire, anybody, but especially among women, it's not a common way to do it. So you factor all of those things in. It looks like she might have, the fire started in the car and then she was able to get out of the car. You know, when people are on fire, they tend to run, which unfortunately doesn't help. You know, we always say the drop and roll to put out the fires. You're running, you're actually feeding the fire. So if she was running towards that ravine and grabbed it as she was burning, you know, we don't know, but you know, I would set up 2 different investigative teams to look at both of those and kind of do it separate and see where those things lead. Of course, you know, we're not going to know until, you know, all of this comes out. And you know, Vinny, I'm loath to make investigative information available publicly because oftentimes it seems like the investigation's going in a lot of different ways, and it is. We don't have a narrative. Later on in a trial, you'll hear the narrative, but in the early stages of an investigation, we have to go in every different direction that it takes us. So sometimes it looks disheveled, but that's the nature of the process. And so we have to kind of follow all these things. That's why you heard 2 weeks ago that this may have been a murder investigation, and now you're hearing it's something else, because different things develop early in the early stages of an investigation. Doesn't mean they're not doing their job. Doesn't mean they don't know what they're doing. It just means that these things are a mystery, and you have to suss out each one as it comes up. We know certain things. You know, Doc is really good at, you know, as doing the science of it, but then there's the other things of it. I would be investigating whether she had any mental health issues in the past. Did she see a counselor, a therapist? Because that cryptic message, you know, I'm not saying that she heard voices. I'm saying she's referring to somebody when she says, they won't let me go. You know, who is the they that she's referring to? And did she ever have issues like that in the past?
Big part of all this. All right, our guests are staying with us. We're going to talk more about this when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, my name's Amanda Bearden, and I filed a missing persons report on my mother last night, yesterday, excuse me, and I was just wondering if maybe I could speak with the detective that's been assigned to the case.
Do you have any further information?
I sure do. I mean, do you want the case number? I mean, I
the case number so I can look it up that way.
That's Debbie Collier's daughter calling 911 with some additional information after they reported her missing. This is before her mom was found. How about the family? Let's bring back in our guest, Joy Purcell, publisher, reporter, now Habersham.com. Please check it out, folks. A lot of information about this case. Joseph Scott Morgan with us and Bobby Chacon. Joy, how about the family members? Have they all sort of been accounted for that day? Do investigators know what they were doing, where they were, et cetera? Do we know?
Well, it's our understanding that the local investigators have pulled back from their investigation of the family members, of course, because Amanda Bearden received the Venmo payment that was attached to that cryptic message. There was a lot of question about her and any potential involvement because of the money that she received. This family has undergone a lot of scrutiny, a lot of intense scrutiny. It's been a very challenging situation for them beyond the loss of their wife, their mother, their grandmother. They're having to undergo the suspicions that have been cast on them. But as I said, it is my understanding, again, speaking through those close to the investigation or with those close to the investigation, that they're pulling back from looking at the family members as potential persons of interest or suspects in this case. There's a key development that has happened since we last spoke, Vinny, and there was a question as to the timing of this all. Investigators had narrowed the timeline of when they knew that Debbie Collier was alive to between 2:55 p.m. on September 10th and then 3:19 p.m. during those moments when she was seen on surveillance in the Family Dollar store. It was at 3:17 p.m. that Amanda Bearden received the Venmo payment with that chilling message, "They're not going to let me go." We have learned, again, our sources are telling us that through subpoenaed phone records, they have determined that that message was sent from the parking lot of the Family Dollar store in Clayton, Georgia, which is where they know Debbie Collier was up until 3:19 p.m. Apparently, there was also another text message sent from her phone, a simple "I love you" to her son, which didn't go through, but was recovered when they got the records. And then at 3:19 p.m., she exits the parking lot, her phone goes silent, and approximately 22 hours later, she was found dead in the woods about 12 miles away.
All right, we have about a minute left. Based on this information, Joseph Scott Morgan, what does it have you thinking right now?
Well, again, my default position is always return back to the science. I want to see the autopsy report. I want to know how extensive her injuries are. It's been very vague relative to, they had a focal area of burning they keep referring to in the abdomen. And again, back to what Bobby was saying about self-immolation, it's one of the rarest forms of suicide that exists. I think I may have handled 3 in my entire career. And generally there was a severe psychotic break that had taken place relative to that. And that would mean that gas would be all over the body, the accelerant would be. So for me, I'm waiting for the records.
All right. We are out of time for tonight, but thank you all so much. Joy.
I don't know what they're talking about, burnt car. We've seen the pictures after they found her with the crime scene tape and everything. The car's not burnt. I don't know if he misspoke or what. Jane, you're exactly right. We don't even have an autopsy yet. They're on there, saying, I'm waiting on the records. That type of suffocation, that inhalation, he said, is so extremely rare. I took the comment down. I didn't mean to. C-Star said let go means fired. Think about it. They're not going to let me go. So that's what I said. Amanda is such a drama queen. She knew the conversation she'd been having with her mother. She could have put that Venmo into context and been like, well, she was having problems at work. Brian, you must have watched this court TV thing, didn't you? Don't fool me, Brian. And she said, why didn't she put it in context? Why didn't she say, well, she'd been having problems at work. That's what that meant. Not, I think they kidnapped her. That could have been a continuation of a conversation she'd been having with Pawn Queen. That makes more sense. I'm catching up on comments. Give me a second. I don't know. The whole thing is so bizarre. And I really don't see how, nothing against this department, nothing against Habersham County. This isn't something they've ever come across before. They're going to need a lot more help from the GBI to get this all sorted out. What do you think, Avi?
Well, this was a good refresher for me because, we all follow so many cases, but everything started clicking into place whenever I was listening to that. So it seems like to me that our pawn star or pawn queen, it seems like to me that she was trying to sell the abduction thing from the very beginning. The purse being left behind, the other belongings, the whole they won't let me go, and the Venmo. And then
or is she just a damn drama queen? Well, why would she say, and her purse, like she was trying to convince Steve that maybe Debbie had been abducted. This text, now she didn't say it had money on it. This text, they won't let me go. And she's missing. I drove 2 hours to Ulta and Walmart screaming, Debbie, 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 where are you, Debbie?
And the car accident with the criminal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then she says that the purse was upstairs. The purse is locked up in evidence with everything else they found at the scene. Now explain to me, is it a smashed up phone or was the phone burnt? And why was she out there by herself? There was an expert on there from Court TV. I have a little issue with Court TV right now that said that is so, it's so rare. It's like almost never happened before rare type of thing. This
Yeah.
inhalation.
Rarest form of suicide was what he said.
Yeah. Thank you, AV. I'm glad you were taking notes.
I do. I have it. They're all scribbled down here. It was all coming to me. Stuff was clicking together. I mean, I know we're supposed to listen to everything that MMA fighter says. But no, I'm not giving Amanda an apology. In my opinion, she's just not out of the woods for me. I can't clear her. I'm sorry.
Let's ask the chat real quick, and not about Amanda specifically, but I will remind you that during the press conference, every reporter in that room had Amanda's name in their mouth. They weren't even, every now and then they'd say, the daughter. Some were flat out saying, Miss Bearden, Amanda. The detective didn't even flinch. He answered like, yeah, like she's right here. Yeah. Like he didn't even flinch when they would ask the questions. Not, well, we're not going to talk about the daughter, or, well, I can't, discuss that specifically. It was just like such a common knowledge term. Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do a poll. Do you think that homicide's off the table? Do you think that she could have been out by herself in the woods and accidentally swallowed a big old fireball and this was an accident, or an almost never happens rare suicide, as if anybody would even think of that? Do you think homicide is off the table? Are you thinking accident or suicide by fireball? Kamari says homicide or accident. Jessie, she got it hashtagged. Jessie's got it hashtagged. Dee Dee says, I'm not buying the suicide theory. Animal Rocks is backstage. Hello, Animal Rocks. How are you?
How you doing?
Good. What you?
Let me get my microphone fixed because some people say I talk real low. I feel it was like a premeditated message murder.
Okay.
That's my feel on it. The direction on her stomach and getting all the way down, like I have a hard time seeing her trying to go down the hill, let alone trying to do whatever she was doing. And it looked like there was multiple footsteps, not just her footsteps in that area on the camera shots that I've seen.
She didn't seem very I mean, I'm just looking at a CCTV, okay? This is my extremely untrained kindergarten level eye. They're bringing up these hallucinations. Brian brought it up. It was on Court TV last night. It was a specific list, obviously. So, but you're thinking this was all premeditated and somebody was out there and somehow lured her out there. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And I stand by what I say about Amanda. I think she is just quite the drama queen. I mean, all her 1-star reviews, she leaves 223 that we know and 1 5-star for the Gateway Pawn. But everybody else is shit except for the pawn shop. Even the U.S. Coast Guard, they can't even get a 2-star from her. Yet look right here. Who would do this? She tells investigators, it's on the screen, her daughter's story has some holes in it, including her saying she was at the store with her mother. Well, she wasn't at the store with her mother. They had to disprove her lie. You weren't at the store with your mother. What are you talking about? C-Star said, what about hired arrangement?
This kind of reminds me of how the Leilani is hiding things with Quicken's case.
Different scale, but yes. Totally, yeah. I got you. Definitely.
It's called there's too many cases I could come across on the internet that I've been doing, like online good trolling versus bad. And to me, as numb as it is, it feels normal to see cover-ups in certain cities that are small and all versus like the major cities.
Or inexperience. This is not a case this is a case they will talk about for the rest of their lives. This is not anything that they've ever come across before. They ticket DUIs and shit like that.
Is it Ave or Eve? How do you say your name?
Avie.
Avie, what's your thoughts?
Well, I just said what I thought. I definitely, I think that our Pawn Star, from the very beginning, I think she was trying to sell this abduction theory, and that's why the purse was left behind. All the things that she said, these other belongings. I mean, she has a whole ass purse in the Family Dollar. That purse is in evidence. It's just so weird. I just think that she tried to make it sound like it was an abduction, and then the car accident with the paint cans and stuff, and how he was told Debbie not to say anything. I just think she was trying to plant a lot of seeds.
She wanted to make it look like an abduction. Steve was so confused on the 911 call. The only thing he could really get out was that it was her day, that she should have been food shopping, and that she's white. That's all he had for us.
Sure.
And on that call, and I don't know if anybody agrees, but on that call, it sounds like Amanda was kind of in the background, like, yeah, and she left her purse, and yeah, and this, that, and the other, because he was very hesitant whenever he was talking, like he was, like Amanda was right there, like, hey, and also this, and also that, you know?
P's got a good point on what it said. Look at the Truckee murder in the past was labeled suicide. Multiple stab wounds to oneself. Ellie labels too many murders suicide. And I've seen that even in the drug addiction world. They tend to do this.
But you guys know that there's nothing official. This is sources telling a web newspaper and Fox Digital that they heard by the water cooler. Well, hell, it could have been an accident. It could have been suicide. We're still figuring it out. And people are running with it as in it's case closed. Plus the son puts, that he's pissed off and very disappointed in law enforcement on his Facebook. And that's supposed to make everybody quit talking about the case. Well, he's not in here. He's not in chat. I'm not bothering him. I'm allowed to use the internet.
Yep.
There's nothing official about this. There is no press conference. They said last night on Court TV, the woman who is part of the organization that typed all this up said they don't have the autopsy back. They have the fire report back. They have the arson report back.
Is this kind of like another deal? Is this kind of like another like Dylan Rounds type atmosphere type of case to you?
No, I just think they don't have their shit together yet. That's what I'm getting. That's the vibe I'm getting right now.
And I don't understand about all these sources coming out and saying all of this stuff when we don't have an autopsy. And I mean, who the hell are these sources?
I'd love to know. They're sources close to law enforcement. Well, that could be you, Avie. You're on their page.
Yeah. I've got some friends in law enforcement.
The whole thing is crazy. Law enforcement is going to have to, well, I say have to, they don't have to do anything. At some point, an official statement is going to have to get slipped out there to say,
yes, can we please have a presser? Please give us a presser.
I don't know that they'll do that. They might slip us a Mickey like they did out in Truckee.
Well, since she's an adult, her autopsy and death records are public domain under FIRE.
Oh yeah, when they get them back.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that on Court TV. Well, they don't have the records back. Well, sources are spreading rumors.
Yep.
And
I
they need
think
to
these
totally take the suicide thing off the table for me, because I've had 2 people close to me that have, unalived themselves. And it wasn't, I did a lot of research on it. You know what I mean? A lot of the times men are typically a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? Women, not so much. Like my stepmom, she completely undressed herself, got in the tub and essed her, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
So that way it wouldn't be messy, which, I mean, it was messy, but still, you know what I'm saying? It's just like men are a little bit more pull out the GUN and stuff. Women, not so much.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. With women, I don't even want to talk about it really, but I mean, the elephant's in the room, and it's more of they go to sleep. Skittles said she didn't commit this was straight murder. We can go ahead and say the word. I've only said it 500 times on here. I'm going to get a great email from YouTube after this. That's all right though. I've got several others I got to answer, but what they're saying, sources, that it may not be a homicide. Also, we may never know. Well, that's a good way to spread a rumor. Hey, I'm just letting you know what I heard. We may never know. Well, that's a good way to piss everybody off. And then
that's like
I mean,
saying all of a sudden it could be inconclusive, but we really don't know.
it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
I mean, I guess somebody could accidentally do that to themselves, possibly, but I don't see her out there by herself chilling like that.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, if it's an accident, we've discussed that on the show before. You know, did she go out there and have an accident? But we just need it explained. They're going to have to investigate, not that it's a crime or really even a big deal. What the hell was she doing out there by herself? Why did she buy all that stuff and go out there by herself?
I have a hard time thinking that much flamage and everything was on her for the amount that she picked up. Like, you have to have more liquid to burn and do all that to kill yourself.
Oh, Animal Rocks he just made me think of something else. Oh wait, keep talking. I'm sorry.
So what I was saying was, you have to have a lot of liquid. Like, you would have to have a lot of ethanol or something to burn, like the shirt and everything, burn this area. And is that an area where people could walk by and might even hear somebody screaming? That's the key thing I'm looking at. Is this girl would be screaming in death.
I would think it would be pretty damn painful. Yeah. That's just not and especially with, you know, the inhalation killed her. I want to know where sources got that when they say the autopsy hasn't been concluded. Where are sources getting that? You know what I mean?
Like, I want to see the lung test that actually says that an inhalant occurred.
It would have to be on the autopsy and the reports. And as of last night, they weren't ready.
Where'd your friend go?
I don't know. She'll have to reconnect. Well, I think we've gone through pretty much everything that we have as of now, even went back to what they were saying before. And I think we can all agree that law enforcement has not put anything out, that homicide's off the table. They haven't put anything out. They don't even have the autopsy back.
Like, it's what they call a still open pending investigation. The way I look at it is, all these people are coming out are now getting paranoid, and they're trying to make a false narrative, and some of them are making themselves involved when some of them are probably not involved. They're making themselves look guilty when they're talking.
Mm-hmm. Hang on, look at this comment real quick.
So just imagine the autopsy comes back and all of a sudden it's murder. All those people that said, "Oh, it was possibly suicide," they're all gonna clam up. Probably a good amount will probably even, "I need an attorney," which is their right.
Well, and it wasn't that long ago that MMA's dad put, this wasn't this Tuesday, the Tuesday before, he put on Facebook, I'm pretty sure he has still only raised zero of $5,000, which, by the way, that's a cheap ass defense attorney. A defense attorney for $5,000. They want $5,000 to sit in the seat.
I didn't even know that this was occurring. Then again, I'm not on Facebook, but I'm gonna read that real quickly to myself.
Yeah, to help cover the cost of the attorney that I got
pay
for my
a polygraph examiner, investigators.
Yeah, to pay for polygraph exam and investigators to gather all the, he's trying to spell something fancy, evidence to prove that a shadow of a doubt that he had anything to do with the murder of Debbie Collier. So as of last Tuesday, somebody was telling MMA and his dad it was a murder because he's trying to get an attorney. Why?
Well, I call this, instead of paying for something, why not go to the FBI, walk up to them and be like, "I want to take a lie detector test with you guys." I'm not saying I heard. There's no really a cost on it that I know of.
Well, I mean, they don't sit around and just wait for John Q. Public to come in and say, "Hey, can you strap me up to one of those boogers?" You know, they have to have a reason for it. So like I said, this was a week and a half ago to help cover the cost of the attorney that I got for my son. This is craziness. This is a money grab. And why are you putting it out there? He had nothing to do with the murder of Debbie Collier. And then yesterday, sources say it may not be a homicide. It could be accident or suicide. What?
Kind of like the same thing with Kylie's thing and Sammy coming out. I got me a defense attorney. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
No, and it could be that too. It could be a bunch of people wanting attention. Yeah, and I guarantee as of now, he still has $0 in his account. $5,000 for a defense attorney. Get real. He can go with the pro bono. So I appreciate you coming up, Animal Rocks. I'm going to start shutting this down. I didn't realize
I was going to say your friend's back, by the way.
Uh-oh, I'll see her over in Discord then. Looks like she popped back in.
Yeah, she popped in. But yeah, I'll bounce off. Talk to you later.
All right. Hey, don't be a stranger when you see the link.
Oh,
grab
I'm
it.
not. I usually come in different ways.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Let's say thank you to Animal Rocks. Never got to talk to him before. This was a great discussion today. I don't remember the name. I'm very rude. What is the name of the woman that was talking about eating fire? That was very informative. Thank you for coming up. Thank you, Avi. I know several of you were backstage and I didn't get to you. I apologize, but there's always next time. There's tomorrow. This is just, I think, where we got with this discussion today. There's nothing official out, so we're going to continue discussing the case. There's been many other cases where people said, look, it's done. It's over. Quit discussing it. Why are you still talking about it? We can talk about it. It's okay. It's okay. We're not bothering anybody. We're not harassing anybody. We're not doxing anybody or anything like that. What to do? What to do? Kamari said it was Paris. Okay, thank you, Paris. Kamari, exactly. It's not over. Nothing official has come out saying this is what we have determined. Because Fox Digital and this newspaper website talked to sources, that's not anything official. As we heard from Court TV, if they did their homework, but they had people on there talking for themselves. It wasn't secondhand knowledge. They said they don't have the autopsy. We don't have the records. So we'll continue following the Debbie Collier case as we have been. So I will see you guys back here tomorrow morning. Thanks for being part of a great discussion. Great chat, being cool as you guys always are. So I will see you probably over in Discord in a little bit or in one of the Facebook groups. You guys have a great rest of your day. See you later. Bye-bye.